Right, we'd just like to thank you once again for joining us here on our YouTube channel and of course our Twitch stream. I'm one of your co-hosts, Stephen John McLaughlin, the other co-host, John C. Walsh, and our very special guest and good friend, Ruth Aaron, joins us for our movie review of 96, starring the great Vijay Sethupathi.
And Trisha.
Yeah, and Trisha. Yeah. John will get into the cast later on. Fantastic cast. And this film is directed by C. Prem Kumar and gets an 8.6 out of 10 rating on IMDb, which I think is justified. Could be a little bit higher, perhaps, but I don't want to give the game away about ratings at the moment. But I am going to pass it over to John now, who's going to take us through this review experience and, of course, give you a lowdown on obviously ratings. How we rate these movies.
It's like the same old thing, Stephen. It's like Groundhog Day. I just say the same thing every week when we review movies. AF is terrible. Think of The Fanatic from John Travolta and Phoenix Forgotten, a horrendous found footage film that nobody has to watch ever. Completely unnecessary addition to your life. D- Ruth Plus is average. It's an average watch. It's not horrendous, but as you get to the bottom of average, it really is getting to poor. C- Ruth Plus is a good watch. It's a good movie. A lot of MCU movies and stuff like that will slide in here, Ant-Man and things like that. Then you get B- Ruth Plus, an excellent movie, really up there, as I keep saying every week, my all-time favourite movie. Cool Hand Luke slides into this tier, if you like, but it's not quite perfection. To get to A, you have to be perfection, and I think of movies like The Godfather, Shawshank Redemption, Apocalypse Now. You know what I mean? The sort of typical movies that people speak about when they think of perfection in movies. I'm sure Ruth will get some ideas of perfect Indian movies, and I have to tell you, as we get to the end of this review, that there may be another addition to perfect, but we'll see how we get on as we actually review the movie. Overall thoughts and rating. What is your overall thoughts? Shall I go first?
Yeah.
I'll not rate first because I want to see what you're rating, and then I will may change my mind. Overall thoughts, I really enjoyed this movie. It surprised me quite a bit. As I said before, Vijay Sethupathi is an incredible actor, incredible human being. And I knew I was getting a good performance from him. I've seen enough of this guy's movies now to understand what he produces, and he's pretty consistent with it. But it was the other cast and crew cast members primarily. The crew members don't really count because you're not watching them, they're behind the camera. But the other cast members, the likes of Trisha, and then I'm going to bring the names up because I will forget them again. Gauri Krishnan, Adifa Bhaskar, and even the sister, Devadarshini Chaitanya, probably says it wrong. She was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
In moments, she had subtle little moments in this movie, but she was almost like a mother.
Yeah, both versions, John, the old and younger versions, I felt the characteristics, both actors nailed it.
It was Nifaya Kadambi who played the younger one. And then also I spoke about Bagafafi, I can't speak, Puramal, who played Berlin in Super Deluxe. I thought he was good. So it was just the combination of those, maybe, I don't want to say superfluous because that's the wrong word, but those sort of other characters, they really made this the watch that it was. I says it time and again, the only really average to below average movie I've seen from Talapathi was Sarkar. And it wasn't to do with Talapathi, it was to do with the fact there wasn't a good enough supporting cast around the guy. And even the best actors in the world, the likes of Leonardo DiCaprio and stuff like that, and even, I'll mention the likes of Talapathi and Dhanush, we've seen that in Jagami Phandaram, they need help to make the movie compelling. Their performance alone can't cover over. The poor performances around them are completely non-existent performances. So it was that aspect of this movie that really did elevate it for me. Just a really strong ensemble performance from the entire movie, but with Vijay Sethupathi just being, what word would I use for it? Absolutely sublime. I actually says that word last night during my show. I stopped to speak about this movie and obviously try and promote the actual review tonight, and I says it was sublime, and it was primarily down to Vijay Sethupathi. So I really enjoyed this movie. That's what I'm saying. I went off on a rant there, off on a tangent. Really enjoyed this movie. It surprised me quite a bit. Not a huge romance fan. I do watch them from time to time. I've got a sweet spot for Sense and Sensibility because it had the great Alan Rickman. It did have Alan Rickman, didn't it? He played a sort of sergeant or something like that in it. But this one was, I don't think I'm being too hyperbolic, to use a big fancy word, when I say that I think it's one of the best romantic movies I've ever seen. I actually think it's better than most Western, like Notebook and stuff like that I've seen over here. So I enjoyed it a lot. What's your thoughts, Ruth, man? We'll let Stephen in last and he can share his thoughts, and then we'll get to the rating. You may have froze, Ruth. I don't know if you can hear us. We're getting some gremlins in the connections.
We keep. Yeah. So what was your rating again?
I've not rated it yet. I'll get to that. I'll get to
Because
it.
it went out, it cut out a bit, so I wasn't sure.
No, I've not rated it yet, man. I'm going to wait till you give your opinions and then maybe rate it, and then I'll bottle out. I'll give my thoughts on it.
Okay.
Well, if you get any overall thoughts in the movie, Ruth, where does it rank for you? I presume you've seen a lot of romantic Indian movies, being a Talapathy
Yes,
fan,
I have.
and he
Yeah,
also started
exactly.
there.
Yeah. No, I've seen a lot of romantic men. There are a lot of really nice romantic movies in Indian cinema that I've really enjoyed and gone back to. But this was different in the sense that it was very haunting. And what for me, I read a movie based on the fact that if I hear somebody talking about the movie, just them talking.
We may have lost you again, Ruth, but I think it's your side. The fact there is
A really good film.
Yeah.
Sorry, did I cut out?
Yeah,
a bit?
you froze briefly. It was like 2
Yeah,
seconds.
so for me, so for me, it's like if I hear somebody talking about a movie, and that just hearing them talk about it, or somebody
Word of
mentioning
mouth, yeah.
it, or it coming up, makes me want to watch it again.
Yeah,
That's and the fact that I can rewatch it a few times, and also each time I watch it, I don't lose that. You know that kind of usually when you watch a romantic movie, the first time you might end up crying.
Yeah.
But then the second time and the third
see it
time,
differently. Yeah,
it doesn't
Yeah.
invoke tears in you anymore
yeah.
because you know what's coming. But this one, each time I've watched it, I've ended up tearing
Yeah.
up.
It's a
And-
powerful story.
And even though I know that's how I know it's a fantastic movie, because if it makes me do that each time, it feels
Yeah.
like I'm watching it for the first time again,
Yeah.
and I can contain it, bottles all of those emotions. That for me is an excellent film,
And again,
and I usually wouldn't say it. So for me, that's an excellent film.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, if you ask me, I would probably give it an A.
I'll go there and I'll do it. 2 seconds. I'll try and get the actual mouse cursor. There you go. Ruth has given this movie an A,
Wow.
and I
That's
tell
our
you what.
first day.
I tell you what, she may have influenced me slightly.
Okay.
Look, before I let Stephen in, just what you touched upon there, that emotion that brings out in you watching this movie, I think that's firmly down to the underpinning of the characters, that bonding with the actual audience and the flashback sequences. I can't even think of the word because I'm actually losing the plot here with the actual COVID vaccine. I'm starting to go off a cliff again. I can't overstate the importance of those flashbacks because they really do connect you with their relationship, and then when you see them 22 years later, they're in the situation they're in. She's settled down, she's found peace, and he still is this sort of lost soul. I think that's so important to this movie and its enjoyment. Steve, what's your overall thoughts on this movie, man? I'll rate it.
Yeah, you talk about
Last.
those flashbacks, and I think it's the first time we've seen in Indian cinema where they've not used the same actor in the flashbacks, and that confused the hell out of me when we watched Bahubali.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because obviously Prabhas was playing his father. Yeah,
So I think it would be
Mahendra.
a bit jarring seeing Vijay Sethupathi in a school uniform. But Trisha did say, our character did say, Janu, she wished she had brought her school uniform to the reunion.
felt like she was back. Yeah,
Yeah. But
I would like a school reunion for my class. I tell you, bunch of
the thing about this film for me, and it strikes all the right chords in terms of emotions, because we've all been there, we've all sampled moments in life where there's been missed opportunities. You've held back in saying things that you might have regretted later on in life, and you think back, maybe if I said something or acted in a certain way, things might have turned out differently for different things. Not just love, it could be your career, it could be just your family, stuff like that, anything, and those things come back to you when you see stories like this playing out on the big screen. The other thing as well is, I know that you two guys have mentioned that, the romantic element to me. I felt it wasn't romantic in the traditional sense. It was a realistic outlook on romantic moments in life, and not played out like a traditional
from the 90s.
a traditional romantic movie. And I think that's why it strikes a chord with people like me and John, are not used to watching movies like this, and that's why I enjoyed it, because I could relate to it, and I felt the performances and the cast. And I know that you mentioned it, John. It was a stellar cast performance. I don't think anyone was playing their B game. Everyone was playing their A game in this film, and I think just seeing that journey for Vijay Sethupath's character Ram, for me, I don't think I've really backed a main character in any film as much as I did for this one.
Apart from Rick Dalton when he's doing in one of Charles Manson's goons.
I really did.
A flamethrower.
Yeah, I really did. Wish him well. I really wanted him to have that happy ending, but I was more satisfied they got a realistic ending. Yeah. For me, this film will stay for me for a long time. It's going to be one that I'll go back to because it does have a lot of rewatchability. And I think it's little things like you said, John. Him at the very beginning, Ram looking at the bridge, not telling us why he doesn't want to talk about it. It's little things like that throughout the story that really keep this film interesting. And I think there's just so many layers to it as well, and I think it's just all those little things, movements, looks, everything in this film, down to the detail. I think the director, for a first film, is amazing, absolutely amazing directing in this movie, and I'm going to rate it a B+.
Try and get that to work. It's a shambles. It's not working. What's going on here? There we go.
B+.
OBS has got a sin to answer for. For me, final thing I'll say before I get to rating it is that just a powerful story about this guy who's missed out on opportunities in life, and just the vacuum it's sort of created in his life. He's been stuck in this capsule, and I think that's why it's something that anybody can connect to, despite where they're from, gender, age. It's a connectable story, and it's all down to VG Sephipathi. Stephen, I nearly gave Super Deluxe an A because it was so ambitious. I'm actually going to give this an A, and the reason I'm going to give it an A is because of VG Sephipathi and Trisha. Just a compelling performance, probably the best I've seen for the guy to date, and that says something because Super Deluxe was special, and it's just really for him. You could say that other movies, looking at them as a standalone sort of affair, there'll be elements that are in A, but ultimately I mark it down. For me, that performance can't be ignored, and the sort of chemistry between them, and the fact that I've discovered that it's the first and probably the first movie that he directed, period, was it? Or first romantic movie?
First movie. Yeah, just first movie.
That it just kind of seals the rating for me. It's so impressive for a guy to produce something of this calibre with one movie. And also, as you say, the fact that he was actually looking to get somebody else in to direct it, but VG Sephipathi really pushed him to do it. I think that speaks volumes for VG, so it deserves an A for that alone. But look, man, that is going to round the review up. I may have to go to myself. I'm going to check and see if it's not. I'm going to have to go to myself when I end it. What's your thoughts on this movie, 96? What do you make about VG Sephipathi, about Trisha Krishnan, about the other cast members, Gauri Krishnan, Deva Darshini, Chetan, I'm butchering these names, I understand, Adifa Bakshar? What do you make about the performances, the story, the rewatchability, the overall thoughts in our review as well? You can comment below if you feel in the talkative mood and you want to share your thoughts down there. That's certainly the place for it. Seeing we've actually got comments, incidentally, I can't read them because I've got a moonlight right in front of me, and I'm already blind as a bat from this distance anyway. I'm 32, but I've got the eyesight of a 92-year-old, so not helped by the light. What is your thoughts? So you can comment below. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content on this in the future, and you will get it, guys. But until then, and hit the follow button on Twitch as well. How could I forget? But till then, me, Stephen and Ruth are done. Thank you for joining us. Bye bye.